to the Land of Theory podcast. I am your host, Sophia, and this is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Brody. Like she said, I'm a co-host.
Yes. What are we talking about today, Brody?
Today, we will be discussing the most confusing things, the bestest things, paradoxes, and I don't even know how we're really going to discuss them because they don't make sense. So we're going to try to make sense of them today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we make complete sense all the time, so we're going to be able to figure this out perfectly.
Flawlessly.
Yeah. Anyways, what is the first paradox?
On the list, or the first thing we're going to talk about? Or are we,
The first paradox on the list.
Okay. So we have the cat and jam paradox. So, you know how cats always land on their feet? And if you drop a piece of bread that has jam on it, it always lands jam side down. So, concept is you strap a piece of jam bread to a cat's back, and then you drop the cat, and it will spin infinitely because it can't land on its feet, because then it's not landing on the jam. But it can't land on the jam because then it's not landing on its feet. So, it just rotates forever. And then you have a free generator.
Well, yeah. So if you were able to attach the bread to the cat and then to, well, I guess a magnet system to create a generator, yeah, you could do that. So basically, the question is, the paradox itself is, would it just defy gravity? Would it just float there and spin forever? Or would the cat land on its feet and the bread would actually end up landing bread side down? So, starting this off, I would say that first we should explain what mechanisms actually cause the cat and the jam side of the bread to land face down or feet down. So cats, they have, the same as humans for balance. Basically, they have a certain system within their body that orients them towards, gravitational pull. So if you have a cat in space, you might let go of it and it would just be freaking out because this system in its body, which always rights itself, has no frame of reference. And so it just floats around and bumps into things and it's amusing. But if you're a cat person, it's also kind of sad. So, yeah. So cats usually right themselves. That's why they always land on their feet. And then when it comes to jam, there was actually a science experiment done on this because one scientist was very frustrated that his food would always land jam side down. And it's just because of the weight distribution. And also, if you're knocking a piece of bread off of the average height table, then it tends to rotate once in the air and then land jam side down just because of the extra weight that the jam adds on one side of the bread. So that's why bread tends to land jam side down. Now, from that standpoint, all of this is absurd. But assuming that for some reason they have to, by a law of nature, land face down or feet first, then the question becomes, well, first off, can you even keep the cat and the bread fixed in their positions? Because say they both have to land face down, then wouldn't tape or any conventional manner of attaching them together, wouldn't that just break? And the bread or the jam side would then move around to the belly of the cat, and so technically it would be jam side down. So
I can't think of a way to prevent that.
Yeah. So now the question is there any mode of attachment which by a law of nature cannot be broken? I guess by law of nature we just mean, well, by joke, right? Because we always say cats land feet down. That's not necessarily always factual. Well, maybe. But what's something that just can't break? I'm going through a bunch of memes in my mind, and the only thing I can think of is flex tape.
A Nokia.
A what?
A Nokia or a Nokia. The phone.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I don't think that's going to attach things.
Oh my goodness. Well, so we're going to assume there's some way. What?
Okay.
What?
You know that obnoxious plastic packaging that like often scissors comes in? And you need like I don't know, it takes a lot to open those packages, and there are memes about like put it in lava and it still doesn't break, or you throw a grenade at it and it's untouched. So you have to use that plastic material to connect the bread to the cat.
Wait. So how about this? Just to make sure it's extra strong, you take 2 Nokia phones, put them on either side, and then you use that plastic to attach them together. Although that's probably just what the Nokia phones are made out of, is that plastic.
Yeah.
Anyways, so basically, if you want an infinite generator, it takes a cat, a piece of bread with a bit of jelly, and then 2 Nokia phones and a bit of plastic from scissor packaging.
Yes.
Okay. And then you put the Nokia phones and the plastic around the cat and the jam face up on the back of the cat, feet down, and then just promptly attach all that to a generator. So you probably want to attach a steel rod to the Nokia phones and then drop the cat, and it should start spinning.
Yep.
And so infinite energy source. We just found a glitch in real life.
Yes. Now the true test is to actually do it.
Video footage will be sent to me dropping my cat now. Okay. And the next paradox is, if you punch yourself in the face and it hurts, does that mean you're weak or are you strong?
Okay. So if it hurts, that means you have a low pain tolerance or a sensitive face. But also that your fist is strong.
Well, not your fist. You don't produce the punch with your fist. You use probably bicep muscles and, well, probably a lot more than that.
Anyway, force of your punch is affected.
What muscle do you use if you punch yourself in the face? By the way, listeners, you can't see me, but right now I'm actively pretending to punch myself in the face.
I wish I had video footage of this. I shouldn't video this, actually. Just keep doing that, Brody. Just keep it up.
I'm thinking it's probably tricep and bicep muscles. That makes sense. And then something like a lat muscle as well. Now I want to actually just like punch myself in the face. Huh.
Then you'd get a black eye and people would be like, Brody, what happened to you? You'd be like, I punched myself.
I fell on my fist.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So we've clarified what muscles it takes. It's tricep and bicep muscles, I think. And then also something like lat. Okay. If you punch yourself in the face and it hurts, does that mean you're strong? Well, from what experiment I just did by punching myself in the face, I realized that it does not take much force at all to make it hurt. So I guess either I'm just really strong and it takes very little effort for me to hurt myself, or it doesn't take much strength, or I have a very low pain tolerance. All of which have lowered my self-esteem.
It's okay. So what have we determined?
Nothing. I've just made self-assessment that's not totally helpful.
This doesn't hurt that much.
Yeah, but like, okay, so now punch yourself in like the temple.
Well,
where it makes contact with like the skull. That hurts more.
Not really.
What? Okay, are you making contact with the knuckle to the temple? It has to be like the knuckle.
Okay, that kind of hurts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe it's not a matter of strength. Maybe it's just proper technique. So if you punch yourself in the face, that means you have good technique and maybe low pain tolerance.
But probably good technique. So if you punch yourself in the face and it hurts, that doesn't have anything to do with whether you're weak or strong, but you are coordinated.
Yeah. See?
So if you punch yourself in the face and it hurts, good for you.
Yeah, we're definitely congratulating people on punching themselves in the face. With good technique.
Kids, don't try this at home.
We're kids and we just tried it at home. Shh!
They don't need to know that. Okay. Okay. Our next topic of discussion is gap teeth. So
What? Just gap teeth?
So we call it a gap tooth, but it's really a tooth gap. So if that's a tooth gap, then what would a gap tooth be? I guess that's just you have a cavity.
No. So a gap tooth is a tooth that fills a gap. So technically, every single tooth in between teeth is a gap tooth. So if you have, well, a normal tooth gap, and then a tooth were to appear in that space that is the gap, that would be a gap tooth because it's filling the gap and it's a tooth.
And I guess if you go if you're 55 and your tooth falls out, 55 or older, and your tooth falls out and you go and get it replaced, then that is
a gap
tooth.
Yeah, because it's replacing a lost tooth where there was a gap. Yeah, that one was pretty simply resolved. Oh, another one similar to that one, though, is why do we drive on parkways
and park
on driveways? I don't... What? Okay, so first off, where did the name parkway even originate? Why did they say parkway? We're looking this up now. So.
Yes. Etymology of parkway.
They're probably just going to be extremely vague, and it's not going to be answering our question. Oh, that makes much more sense. Okay, so the origin of the word parkway is it originally referred to a broad road through a park. So when it was talking about park, it's not the action of parking your car, but it's actually going through a park. So that makes sense. And then a driveway is still something you technically drive on or drive up to park your car. Mm-hmm. So a parkway is a road that goes to a park, and a driveway is something you drive on and eventually park your car. Wow. Okay, that was actually surprisingly easily resolved.
Yeah, and it would be confusing to call it a parkway since we already have this other thing called a parkway.
Right.
Another one that is similar to that is why do we bake cookies and cook bacon?
Wait, say that one again.
We really bake cookies and cook bacon.
Oh, okay. Huh.
I have a few thoughts on this, but I would like to hear yours first.
Well, it simply bothers me that doesn't match up. Well, I guess I'd have to think, what's the origin, why was it originally called baking and cooking? Maybe it would be easily resolved just like the other one. But what are your thoughts on it?
So, my thoughts. So, first of all, bacon is spelled with a C. So, it obviously isn't particularly related to the word baking. It just happens to sound similar.
Sure.
And my grandma actually has a recipe for cookies called chocolate no bakes. And they're called that because you don't bake them. You just cook them on the stove. So, you do actually cook some cookies. As for cook, it just says it comes from Old English coke. Hopefully I pronounced that right. From popular Latin cocus or cocus. So that tells me very little.
Yeah.
Etymology of baking. Now, baking comes from the Old English bacon spelled with a C. It's B-A-C-A-N, of Germanic origin, related to Dutch bakken or bakken. I can't read Dutch, and it's B-A-K-K-E-N, and German bakken, B-A-C-K-E-N. What have we learned?
We have learned that we really ought to bake bacon. Wait. I just realized
we do also bake bacon.
Yeah, we also bake bacon because,
it in the oven.
My dad, he makes pretty darn good crispy bacon by putting it in the oven. So I guess the takeaway is that, yes, this is an irritating paradox. And so the solution is just bake your bacon because it's better, and also cook your cookies because there's recipes you can do that with.
Yes. And the other thing that we've learned is that I need to work on my Germanic pronunciation.
And Dutch pronunciation as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can correct her if you're Dutch, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, in the comment section, you can tell her how to pronounce things properly.
Yes. And our final, well, I say final, we may come up with something else. But it is, how do dragons blow out candles?
Huh. It's quite amusing to think that there's a dragon, first off, just simply relying on a tiny little candle for light when they literally breathe fire, and then has to put it out. I guess, first off, we should start off with the question, why does the dragon even need a candle?
Maybe it's not the dragon's candle. Maybe the dragon came into a human's home where they're trying to have a nice candle at dinner, and the dragon just feels like being chaotic and causing problems. Or the dragon's owner. Okay, this is going to be a whole thing. Okay, so you've got, pick a name.
Deborah.
Okay, you got Deborah, and she's having a nice candlelit dinner with Nathan. But there's this other girl,
Amelia,
and she likes Nathan, and she has this dragon. So she sends the dragon to go.
I have so many questions about Amelia.
So she sends this dragon to go interrupt Deborah and Nathan's dinner. And so the dragon's like, well, those candles are too romantic. So the dragon wants to blow out the candles.
So the dragon, he peeks his head in the door and he's like, excuse me, but I think things are getting a little too heated in here.
Oh my gosh.
And then he promptly tries to blow out the candle, which is problematic because he's a dragon. Mm-hmm. And then probably catches the house on fire by trying to blow out the candle. Well, I guess the question still stands though, can a dragon exhale without vomiting out flame? I mean, I think dragons breathe normally, right?
Yeah, I guess it could exhale through its nostrils probably.
Well, although...
And that would probably be, because it's a dragon, so I'm assuming this is a fairly large dragon.
Yeah.
And it's got big lung capacity. Yeah. So it could probably give a pretty powerful exhale through its nostrils.
Right. But there have been depictions I've seen of dragons also blowing fire out of their nose. Even though that would be quite painful, probably.
Yeah.
Your nose might be a little inflamed after that.
I think I've seen depictions of dragons with smoke coming out their nostrils, but not actual flames.
Oh.
I was also thinking, though, so fire needs oxygen, and could the dragon just, inhale the flame? Or inhale enough oxygen in the immediate area to snuff out the flame?
Oh, that's true. He could just inhale fast enough to basically reverse blow out the flame.
Yes.
Yeah. He could suck the flame. or better yet, he just sticks his head in the house with Deborah and Nathan, and he says, this is getting a little too heated in here, and then he just promptly inhales the candlestick.
Oh my goodness.
And also the rest of the food, and the tablecloth, and maybe the table, and maybe even Deborah and Nathan, much to Amelia's chagrin because she liked Nathan.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, and Amelia sent him to de-escalate the situation from a romantic standpoint.
What is wrong with you today?
There's nothing.
There are more puns than usual. I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah. Are you feeling threatened by my punniness today?
I don't know.
I'm trying to make up for the fact that my self-esteem was ruined when I tried punching myself in the face. So I had to make up for it with my humor. Anyways, I'm trying to think. There are probably plenty of other paradoxes that we just haven't even considered. You have one?
I do. So have you heard of the Pinocchio paradox? Where
yes.
Pinocchio says, "My nose grows now." And if he says that and his nose does grow, then that means he was telling the truth, which means his nose can't grow. And if his nose doesn't grow, then it means he was lying, which means his nose has to grow.
Right.
Thus creating a paradox.
So now the question is, with that specific wording, he says, "My nose grows now." That could be technically a lie, because at the moment of his speaking, there's probably a nanosecond in between, him saying that and his nose growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then within that point of time, his nose wouldn't grow. Although if he did say, "My nose will grow in a second," well, no, that's too specific as well. In a second. Might grow sooner than in a second. "My nose will grow in the near future." That would then become a true statement if his nose grew, and therefore wouldn't be a lie. So that still brings us back to the same paradox.
Mm-hmm. There's also the question of, defining a lie, because if you say something and you believe it to be true, even if it's false, it's not... It is a falsehood, but you are not lying because you believe that's the truth. You're not trying to deceive, therefore it's not a lie. And so if he believes that his nose will grow in the near future, but it doesn't, that still doesn't mean that he was lying necessarily.
Right. But what if he does say that and he knows it's untrue because he's not telling the truth until it is then fulfilled? Because his nose wouldn't otherwise grow until he said lie. Huh. So also, you have to ask, is there, well, I was going to say, is his nose not just maybe growing, but in a very, very small, minuscule amount? But he's not a real boy, so he's not growing, I guess.
No. He wouldn't.
That's a good one. Now I feel intimidated. Yeah. So I guess this is a paradox without resolution then.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were going to say something. Did you have a paradox in mind?
Oh, no, I was actually just going to make the suggestion that we could look up common paradoxes.
Oh, I also know one more.
Oh?
And that is the Astley paradox.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, you ask Rick Astley if you can borrow his copy of the movie Up.
Right.
But he's never going to give you up. But in not giving you up, he is letting you down. And so how do you reconcile that?
Right. So now the question is, maybe there is a reason why he can never give you up. So, see, he might not actually be letting you down by not giving you up. So you ask him for the favor, could you lend me your copy of Up?
Yes.
But if he's trying to protect you from some harm that's involved with giving you the movie Up, then he would actually not be letting you down by never giving you up.
But what if that's not true? What if there's no harm in watching the movie Up, and I just want to watch the movie Up, and now I can't watch the movie Up because he let me down?
I would say I enjoy the movie Up, but the beginning is extremely sad. And this so is true. Maybe he's trying to protect you from the emotional despair you feel at the beginning of the movie.
Maybe I wanted to feel sad.
Well, I don't know. I think Rick Astley wouldn't want you to feel sad.
But he let me down regardless.
But maybe he'll just say, I can't give you up. Could I maybe just... No, wait, he couldn't check it out for you at the library and then give it to you. Because that would be still giving you up. He could suggest other ways of watching it, though, technically. Huh. I think my argument would be that it is justified and he's not letting you down because he's protecting you from the emotional despair of watching Up.
Okay.
I side with Rick Astley on this one.
Okay.
He keeps his word.
And his movies.
And yes, he keeps his movies. I'm trying to think, are there other paradoxes in the rest of the lyrics, possibly? Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and hurt you. Never gonna make you cry. Never going to say goodbye. Well, see, that's one there. See, he says, I'm never going to make you cry. I'm never going to say goodbye. So now, there are sometimes people get upset when you do not say goodbye to them. So say he's in a dating relationship with this person he's speaking about, and he doesn't say goodbye, or like goodnight ever. And so since he can't say goodbye, then he might make her cry because he didn't say goodbye.
Well, it doesn't say he can't say goodnight. It just says he'll never say goodbye. He could also totally say farewell or see
true.
you or until we meet again.
Yeah. So there are many replacements for goodbye.
Yes.
Well, actually, now that gives him an out, though. See, if you take the song in the normal sense, he's saying, I'll never say goodbye, like I'll never leave you. But maybe he could just say farewell and leave her, because he's not technically saying goodbye. So that's also an out.
But he said that he wouldn't desert her.
Oh, true.
So
true.
I think that makes up for it.
Yeah.
I have thought, though, that he says, never gonna make you cry. And this isn't exactly a paradox, but so he alludes to, a full commitment is what he's thinking of. What if when he proposes to her, she's so just emotional and caught up in the moment and she's happy, but she starts crying. It's happy tears, but she's crying and it's his fault.
Yeah. And so that would be making her cry.
And he's told her a lie then, because he said that he would never make her cry.
Wow.
And he just told a lie.
So basically, we've found that Rick Astley is stuck in this state of the relationship and can never propose, because that might make her cry, and therefore he would be telling a lie.
Yes.
And if he told one lie, maybe the whole song's a lie, and he might actually desert her. You never know.
And maybe he would actually give her a copy of the movie Up and make her cry even more.
Yeah.
And then it gets worse from there, guys.
Yeah, that would be quite a letdown.
No, okay.
Quite a letdown by Rick Astley. Oh, man. I love Never Gonna Give You Up. It's such a good song.
Yes, it is.
Well, I think that's a pretty good note to end on, even though it's a bit of a downer being let down by Rick Astley.
That's a good note to end on.
I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty funny.
Thank you.
I'm never gonna give up trying to make as many puns as possible. Yeah, no, I'm gonna stop there.
Okay.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of The Lane of Theory.
Yes.
And if you have any other paradoxes that you think we should address, please leave them down in the comment section. We would love to read them.
Yes.
Goodbye. Bye.